Welcome to Earth, Analyst. Tonight, we turn our attention not to the stars above, but to the quiet hum of machines and the glowing circuits of artificial intelligence, a force reshaping the fabric of human life. For centuries, every great invention, from the wheel to electricity, from steam engines to computers, has raised questions about the role of human hands and human minds in a changing world. But now, in this age of accelerating intelligence, we are asked a question more profound than ever before. Will AI replace all jobs in the future? This is not a story of fear or certainty, but a gentle journey through possibility. We will wander through the past to see how humanity has always adapted. We will explore the present moment as algorithms and automation weave themselves into our daily lives. And we will dream of the future, a future that could be filled with both challenges and opportunities. Slowly, carefully, we will reflect on what work means to us and how intelligence, whether biological or artificial, shapes the stories we live by. So rest easy as we begin, allowing the soft rhythm of words to guide you. Close your eyes, slow your breathing, and let your imagination drift into the quiet spaces between thought and dream. Tonight, we will ask not only whether AI will take away work, but also what it means to be human in a world where intelligence itself is no longer ours alone. The story of work is the story of humanity itself, stretching back across the ages to when our ancestors shaped stone tools beneath open skies, hunted animals across endless plains, and learned the slow secrets of farming that would bind people to the land. Every task we performed was not only about survival, but also about meaning. For in creating, building, and laboring, humans discovered identity and purpose. From the earliest firesides to the grand cities of ancient empires, work has been the thread that wove communities together, giving rhythm to days and seasons. The farmer rose with the sun, the blacksmith's hammer rang out in steady cadence, and the scribe bent low over parchment to record the life of a people. Work was not separate from existence. It was existence itself, shaping who we were and how we lived in ways so natural that we rarely stopped to question it. Even as tools grew sharper and methods more efficient, it was always hands and minds that carried the weight of creation, weaving the world around them with patience and persistence. The arrival of machines, though, changed this rhythm in ways both profound and subtle. The first industrial revolutions sent tremors through societies, replacing centuries-old traditions with the smoke and hum of factories. Work, once tied to the land and to simple craftsmanship, became enmeshed in systems of steel and steam. Some feared the loss of familiar trades, the vanishing of skill, and the displacement of lives as machines shouldered tasks once reserved for flesh and bone. Yet history showed that alongside the disruption came transformation. For each task made obsolete, another seemed to appear, demanding new skills, new knowledge, and new forms of creativity. Humans adapted, and the very concept of work evolved. What had once been muscle and sweat became intellect and organization, shifting us ever closer to a society driven by ideas as much as by labor. Still, the question always lingered in the background: how much of ourselves could machines replace before we lost something essential? Now, in our present moment, that question echoes louder than ever before. Artificial intelligence does not simply swing hammers or weave cloth. It listens, it learns, it writes, it calculates, and it creates in ways that seem eerily similar to human thought. From the algorithms that power search engines and recommend music, to the advanced systems that diagnose diseases or design new materials, AI has entered fields once thought untouchable by machines. And so, the ancient balance between human effort and mechanical assistance shifts once again. But this time, the line feels more fragile, more uncertain, as the machines no longer merely mimic hands, but begin to mirror minds. We find ourselves on the edge of a profound transformation, where the future of work is not only about efficiency, but about identity, asking us to reflect deeply on what it means to contribute, to create, and to belong in a world where our own creations begin to rival us. When people first hear the question, "Will AI replace all jobs?" it often stirs a quiet unease, because the notion touches something deeply personal. Work is not only about earning a living, it is about being part of something larger, about shaping the world in small but significant ways. A teacher standing before a classroom, a doctor caring for a patient, an artist pouring emotion into a canvas. These are not merely tasks, they are threads of identity. To imagine them taken over by machines feels like imagining a world in which the human role has been reduced, where our value is questioned. And yet, history reminds us again and again that while tools may change the form of our labor, they rarely erase the human spirit that seeks meaning through it. The plow did not end farming, but transformed it. The printing press did not end storytelling, but spread it farther than voices could carry. So too with AI, the answer may not be as simple as replacement, but rather reinvention. Still, the rapid pace of development makes this reinvention feel unlike anything before. Each day, algorithms grow sharper, capable of writing reports, composing music, translating languages, even generating art that rivals the imagination of the human hand. We are left to wonder, if machines can write poems, analyze legal cases, and design buildings, what place is left for us? The concern is not limited to physical tasks or repetitive processes, but stretches into the very domains we thought defined us: creativity, empathy, decision-making. For the first time, the boundary between human uniqueness and artificial imitation blurs, and with it, the confidence that there will always be something only we can do. This blurring is where both the fear and fascination of AI lie, for it holds the power to reshape not only economies, but also our very sense of self. And yet, to see AI only as a threat is to overlook the possibility that it may serve as a partner rather than a rival. Machines may be able to process vast amounts of data, but it is still humans who ask the questions worth answering. AI may generate images or predict outcomes, but it is still humans who decide what these creations mean, how they are used, and where they belong in the larger story of our civilization. In this sense, the arrival of AI is not so much the end of work as we know it, but the beginning of a new relationship between human thought and artificial intelligence. It is a relationship that may redefine what we call a job, what we value in society, and what skills will matter most in a world where efficiency can be outsourced to circuits and code. Whether we see this as loss or liberation depends, perhaps, on the perspective we choose to carry forward. The question of AI and work is not only about economics or technology. It is also about psychology, about how we as humans perceive our place in the world. When a machine performs a task faster or with fewer errors, it may bring efficiency, but it also stirs a quiet question inside us. What is the value of our effort if something artificial can do it better? For generations, we found pride in skills honed through time, in the mastery of crafts passed down through families, in the discipline of study and practice that gave us the ability to contribute. To imagine these skills being automated unsettles that foundation, as though the meaning of mastery itself could be erased. But perhaps this fear reveals more about our attachment to roles than it does about the machines. For when we look closely, we see that value has never been fixed. It shifts with time, with culture, with need. What was once prized, the skill of a scribe, the endurance of a courier, can fade into history. Yet humanity always finds new forms of contribution, new expressions of worth. There is also the deeper question of whether machines can truly replace the human essence embedded in work. A doctor may diagnose with precision, but patients often seek not just answers, but comfort, compassion, the human presence that reassures them they are not alone in their struggle. A teacher may deliver information, but the spark that ignites curiosity, the subtle encouragement that transforms hesitation into confidence, flows from human connection rather than data. Even in the arts, where AI may generate melodies or paintings, there remains an unspoken bond between creator and audience, a bond rooted in shared experience, in the vulnerability of expression, in the quiet knowledge that another human heart has reached across distance to say, "You are not alone in these spaces." The human role seems less likely to vanish, for machines may simulate outcomes, but they cannot yet embody the lived experience of being alive. And perhaps, even in a future of great intelligence, that lived experience will remain irreplaceable. Yet, we must also face the possibility that in some areas, replacement may come quickly and completely. Entire industries built on repetition, on tasks easily codified into rules, may find themselves transformed beyond recognition. Factories may hum with robotic precision. Offices may rely on algorithms for decisions once debated in meetings. And even creative industries may lean heavily on generated content. For those whose livelihoods depend on such roles, the future can feel uncertain, even threatening, as though a tide is rising and we are unsure whether we will swim or be swept away. But humanity has stood at similar thresholds before, when machines wove cloth faster than hands, when tractors plowed fields once tilled by oxen, when computers replaced rows of clerks, adding numbers by hand. Each time, displacement came, but so too did adaptation. The path forward is rarely simple, yet history suggests that while certain roles fade, new horizons always appear, asking us not only to adapt, but to redefine what work itself means. The influence of AI on work also touches on the question of creativity, a realm long considered uniquely human. For centuries, we believed that art, music, poetry, and storytelling were expressions that could never be replicated by tools, because they came from emotion, intuition, and experience. Yet today, algorithms are trained on libraries of images and oceans of text, producing works that mimic styles, blend ideas, and surprise even their own creators. A song generated by a machine may stir emotion, a painting may evoke wonder, a poem may touch the heart in ways difficult to distinguish from human artistry. This raises a quiet unease. If machines can create beauty, does that diminish the role of the human artist? Perhaps not. For while machines can generate form, it is still humanity that gives meaning to the creation, that connects it to memory, culture, and longing. A melody may be born of code, but its resonance lives in the ears and hearts of those who hear it, reminding us that art is not only about the notes or the brushstrokes, but about the shared human story they carry. The evolution of creativity in an age of AI may not be about replacement, but expansion, offering artists new tools to extend their reach and imagination. A painter may collaborate with algorithms to explore colors never before considered. A filmmaker may use generated landscapes to bring distant worlds to life. And a composer may draw upon machine-suggested harmonies to weave new soundscapes. In these ways, AI becomes less a rival and more a companion, an extension of the artist's palette. Still, such blending of human and machine creativity brings new challenges, questions of authenticity, ownership, and value. What does it mean to call a work original if it is built from patterns learned by a machine? How do we measure the worth of art when its creation requires less time, less struggle, less sacrifice? These questions remind us that while tools may change, the essence of creativity remains tied to human perception, for it is meaning, not process, that defines art. The future may see a world in which the boundary between human-made and machine-made art blurs so completely that the distinction no longer matters. Audiences may embrace works without concern for whether they were born of hand or algorithm, finding value instead in the emotions they evoke. This acceptance may free humanity to see art less as a mark of exclusivity and more as a shared experience, where machines extend our voices into realms once unreachable. In such a world, the question is not whether AI replaces the artist, but whether it transforms what it means to be one. Perhaps the future artist is not only painter or poet, but curator, guide, and storyteller, weaving meaning from a tapestry of human and artificial contributions. And in this weaving, the human role remains vital, for it is humanity that gives the story its soul. The discussion of AI and work must also consider the role of empathy. For many jobs exist not merely to accomplish tasks, but to provide presence, reassurance, and connection. Imagine a nurse tending to a patient, not only administering medicine, but offering a gentle word, a smile, a hand on the shoulder that conveys care beyond procedure. Imagine a counselor listening with patience, holding space for another's pain, their silence as important as their advice. Machines may learn to recognize patterns in voices, to suggest words of comfort, to simulate expressions, but empathy flows from lived experience, from knowing what it is to suffer too long to hope. This cannot be coded into lines of instruction, for it arises from the fragile and imperfect nature of being alive. In this sense, AI may support such roles, but cannot replace them fully, for presence itself has value that extends beyond efficiency. Yet even here, we see the potential for machines to play a supportive role, easing burdens so that humans may focus more deeply on the essence of their work. AI may monitor vital signs, analyze data, suggest diagnoses, or translate languages instantly, freeing caregivers to devote more attention to the human side of healing. In classrooms, AI may grade assignments or adjust learning materials, allowing teachers to spend more time guiding and inspiring students directly. In these scenarios, AI does not take away the heart of the job, but amplifies it, clearing away tasks that weigh heavily so that humans may focus on what machines cannot replicate: connection, intuition, and care. This partnership may shape a future in which jobs evolve not by erasure but by redefinition, allowing us to place greater emphasis on the aspects of work that truly matter. But the danger remains that if society values efficiency above connection, the temptation may grow to replace even these roles with machines entirely, believing that simulation is enough. Virtual assistants may provide constant companionship. Robotic caregivers may tend to the elderly, and automated tutors may instruct children with tireless patience. For some, this may seem adequate, even desirable, but for others, it raises a profound question. Is simulated empathy the same as real empathy? To blur that line may risk diminishing our understanding of what it means to be cared for, what it means to learn from another, what it means to share presence. And so, the future depends not only on the capabilities of AI, but on the choices we make about what we value. It is not only a technological question, but an ethical one, asking us to decide what we wish to preserve in the human experience. The question of work and AI also draws us toward economics. For jobs are not only sources of meaning, but also foundations of livelihood, the means by which families survive, societies function, and individuals find independence. As machines grow capable of performing more tasks, fears of unemployment and inequality rise. For automation tends to benefit those who control the machines more than those who are displaced by them. This has been seen in past technological revolutions, where the gains of productivity flowed unevenly, widening gaps between groups and reshaping the fabric of communities. In the age of AI, these gaps could grow even larger as those with access to advanced systems thrive, while others are left behind. The fear is not merely that jobs will vanish, but that entire classes of people may struggle to find roles in a transformed economy. Yet history also reminds us that economies are not static. They shift, adapt, and expand as new possibilities emerge. When machines took over weaving, millions feared poverty, yet new industries grew, from steel to railroads to communication. When computers arrived, they displaced clerical workers, but opened vast new opportunities in programming, design, and digital services. So to AI may bring disruption in the short term, while creating avenues we cannot yet imagine in the long term. The challenge is how societies will manage this transition, how they will balance the pace of change with the need for stability, how they will ensure that the benefits of technology are not hoarded by the few, but shared across the many. In this lies the central tension of progress, the balance between innovation and inclusion, if managed wisely. AI may open doors to a future where people are freed from drudgery and monotony, able to focus on creativity, learning, and exploration. Basic needs may be met more efficiently. Industries may flourish in ways unimaginable today, and wealth may grow more abundant. But if mismanaged, the opposite could occur. mass unemployment, deep inequality, and social unrest born from the sense of being left behind by a world that no longer needs human effort. The choice between these futures does not lie in the machines, but in the systems we build around them, the values we uphold, and the policies we create to shape their impact. The question, then, is not simply whether AI will replace jobs, but whether humanity will replace fear with foresight and uncertainty with wisdom. The cultural meaning of work is another thread often overlooked in these discussions. For many, jobs are not just a means of income, but a source of identity, a way to answer the question, "Who am I?" A teacher introduces themselves as an educator, a doctor as a healer, a farmer as a steward of the land. To lose such roles is to risk losing a part of the self, as though a name were taken away. Even retirement, often anticipated, can bring feelings of disorientation, reminding us how deeply our sense of worth is tied to the tasks we perform. In this light, the fear of AI is not only about wages or skills, but about meaning itself. What becomes of us if the roles that defined us for generations are absorbed by machines? At the same time, the meaning of work has never been fixed, and throughout history, it has been redefined many times. Once, physical strength determined value, yet today, intellect and innovation carry weight. Once, survival demanded labor from dawn to dusk, yet now many aspire to work-life balance and the pursuit of passions outside their jobs. The arrival of AI may simply be another step in this ongoing evolution, pushing us to separate identity from labor more clearly, to see ourselves not only as workers, but as thinkers, dreamers, and creators of meaning in ways not bound to occupation. Perhaps the question is not what jobs AI will take, but what identities humans will choose to embrace when freed from certain roles. In this sense, the transformation brought by AI may be less about the disappearance of work and more about the emergence of new definitions of purpose. Freed from tasks of repetition and necessity, people may devote themselves to pursuits once considered luxuries: art, science, exploration, service, or personal growth. Communities may redefine success not by hours worked, but by lives enriched, not by titles held, but by connections nurtured. Such a shift would not be easy, for it demands a cultural reimagining as profound as any technological breakthrough. Yet it also carries promise that in a future shaped by AI, we may finally discover new ways of answering the ancient question of who we are. Beyond what we do, technology has always inspired both awe and fear, and AI is no exception. The very idea that machines can learn, adapt, and create challenges our assumptions about what separates us from our tools. But history shows that fear often accompanies progress, and with time, what once seemed threatening becomes ordinary, even indispensable. There was a time when electricity was feared as dangerous and unnatural, when trains were thought to move too fast for the human body to endure, when the telephone was dismissed as frivolous. Today, we cannot imagine life without them. It is possible that AI will follow this same path, shifting from disruption to integration, becoming so woven into our daily lives that we scarcely notice it. The question then is not whether AI will change work, but how we, in our hearts and minds, will choose to adapt to this change. Still, the pace of AI's growth makes this transition uniquely challenging. For never before has a technology advanced so quickly, spreading across industries and borders with such speed. This acceleration leaves little time for adjustment, little space for reflection, creating a sense of urgency and unease. Jobs may vanish in years rather than decades. Industries may transform overnight, and individuals may find their skills outdated faster than they can retrain. Such rapid change demands systems of support, education, and resilience that match its speed, lest societies fracture under the weight of disruption. In this lies a profound responsibility for leaders, educators, and communities to prepare not only for what AI can do, but for what it may undo. And yet, amidst this challenge lies opportunity. For just as AI threatens old roles, it may open pathways to new ones that we cannot yet imagine. Whole industries may arise around ethics, design, collaboration, and innovation, fields that merge human judgment with machine capability. People may discover vocations in guiding, curating, and contextualizing AI outputs, in weaving meaning from the raw fabric of machine intelligence. In this light, the future is not predetermined, but open, not a story of loss alone, but a story of possibility. The path forward depends not only on machines, but on imagination, on the willingness to dream of futures where work is not diminished, but transformed. The rise of AI also raises questions about fairness. For technology has never impacted all people equally. Some regions, industries, and individuals find themselves lifted by new opportunities, while others struggle to adapt. In wealthy nations, AI may bring abundance, automating services and opening new industries, while in poorer regions, it may deepen dependence or create gaps too wide to bridge. Within countries, those with access to education, resources, and technology may thrive, while others may be left behind, their skills obsolete in a world that no longer values them. This imbalance is not merely economic, but social, shaping who feels included in the future and who feels discarded by it. For a society to endure, progress must not belong only to the few, but to the many. Without care, the story of AI could become one of division rather than unity, amplifying inequality instead of easing it. And yet, technology also holds the promise of greater equality if guided wisely. AI could bring education to children in remote villages, healthcare to communities without doctors, and opportunities for small businesses to reach global markets. Machines that learn could help close gaps in knowledge and access, spreading resources more evenly than ever before. The difference lies in how AI is deployed, who controls it, and what values shape its use. If profit alone guides its course, inequality may grow. But if empathy, vision, and foresight shape its design, AI could become not a divider, but a bridge, connecting those once separated by geography, class, or circumstance. In this sense, the arrival of AI is not only a technical question, but a moral one, asking us to decide what kind of future we wish to build. And for whom, perhaps the greatest danger is not that machines will take jobs, but that humans will accept a world in which dignity is tied only to work, where those displaced are seen as useless rather than valuable in new ways. Such thinking risks devaluing the essence of humanity itself, as though our worth were no greater than the tasks we perform. But history reminds us that dignity is not measured only in labor. The elderly, the young, the disabled, the dreamers and thinkers all carry value that transcends occupation. The challenge of AI may be to remind us of this truth, to shift our perspective so that worth is not tied only to what we do, but also to who we are, what we give, and how we live. In this sense, the future shaped by AI may be less about the machines themselves and more about the values we choose to uphold in the face of change. Another layer of the AI question lies in its relationship with education. For every revolution in work reshapes what people must learn to thrive. In the past, society shifted from teaching farming to teaching industry, from teaching manual skills to teaching information management. Now, as machines grow capable of analysis and creation, education must evolve again, preparing people not for repetition, but for resilience, adaptability, and creativity. The classroom of the future may no longer emphasize memorization, for machines can hold more facts than any mind. Instead, it may teach how to ask the right questions, how to interpret, how to think critically in the face of infinite information. The skills of tomorrow may not be about knowing the answer, but about guiding the journey toward meaning, a task still deeply human. But this transformation in education will not be easy, for systems built over centuries cannot change overnight. Many schools still prepare students for roles that may no longer exist, emphasizing tasks that machines already perform better. Teachers, overwhelmed by outdated structures, may struggle to prepare children for a world even they cannot fully imagine. This creates a gap between the pace of technological change and the pace of human readiness, a gap that could widen into a chasm if not addressed. To close it, societies must invest not only in technology, but in teaching, not only in machines, but in mentors who can guide the next generation with wisdom, creativity, and care. For in the end, the future of work is also the future of learning, and the two cannot be separated. AI may also offer new ways of learning itself, tailoring education to each student's pace and style, offering personalized support no human teacher could manage for every child at once. Algorithms may detect patterns of struggle, offering guidance before frustration takes root, or open pathways of exploration based on curiosity rather than rigid curricula. Such tools may allow learners to flourish in ways once impossible, opening doors to those long excluded by traditional methods. Yet, even here, the role of the human teacher remains vital. For learning is not only about knowledge, but about encouragement, inspiration, and connection. AI may guide, but it cannot replace the spark of curiosity that passes from one human to another, the sense of belonging that reminds each learner that they are not alone in their journey. The arrival of AI also prompts us to reflect on the meaning of leisure. For if machines take over tasks once consuming our days, we may find ourselves with more free time than ever before. In past ages, leisure was a luxury of the wealthy, while most labored from sunrise to sunset. Technology gradually reduced this burden, granting weekends, vacations, and hours for rest. AI could extend this trend further, offering a world where much of survival is handled by machines, leaving humans free to explore art, science, relationships, and play. This possibility carries both promise and challenge, for leisure can be a source of growth, but also of emptiness, if not guided by purpose. A life of idleness may sound appealing, yet history shows that meaning often arises from effort, from the act of contributing to something beyond oneself. Without purpose, freedom may become a burden rather than a gift. The question then becomes, how will humanity choose to use the time that AI may grant? Some may devote themselves to creativity, exploring music, painting, writing, and invention. Others may turn to service, to caring for families and communities, to building connections long neglected in the rush of work. Still others may explore, traveling the world, seeking knowledge, or diving into personal growth. In this sense, AI could open a renaissance of human activity, a flowering of possibilities once constrained by necessity. But such a future requires cultural shifts as well, for societies must learn to value pursuits beyond labor, to honor contributions measured not in wages but in enrichment. Only then can leisure become a path to fulfillment rather than a void. And yet, this vision also raises questions of equity, for who will enjoy this abundance of time? If only the wealthy or privileged are freed from labor, while others remain bound by necessity, then the promise of AI becomes another source of inequality rather than liberation. The true potential of AI lies not in granting leisure to a few, but in creating a society where all can share in the freedom it provides, where rest and creativity are not privileges but rights. Whether this dream becomes reality depends on choices made today. Choices about distribution, about values, about how we measure the worth of human lives. In this sense, the future of AI is not simply technological, but profoundly social, asking us to imagine not only what machines can do, but what kind of world we wish to inhabit. The spiritual dimension of work also deserves reflection, for throughout history, labor has been tied not only to survival or progress, but to deeper questions of purpose and connection. Many traditions see work as a form of service, an offering of one's effort to family, community, or even the divine. To lose this sense of offering may risk leaving a void not easily filled by leisure or entertainment. If machines take over tasks once tied to identity, how do we preserve the sense of contribution that gave life meaning? Perhaps the challenge lies not in resisting change, but in expanding our vision of service, seeing new ways of offering presence, compassion, and creativity in a world transformed by AI. In this way, the human spirit may continue to find purpose, even as the nature of work itself evolves. Machines may excel at efficiency, but they cannot yet grasp the sacredness humans find in small acts, the dignity of tending a garden, the pride of crafting something by hand, the joy of helping a neighbor in need. These moments remind us that contribution is not measured only by grand roles or economic output, but by the care we bring into daily life. If AI frees us from certain labors, it may open space for these acts of quiet significance, giving us time to rediscover the depth in what once seemed ordinary. In this sense, the arrival of AI may not diminish purpose, but redirect it, shifting focus from survival to connection, from necessity to meaning. Still, the danger remains that without intentional reflection, we may allow technology to strip work of its deeper value, reducing human activity to mere consumption. If leisure becomes endless distraction, if service is neglected, If connection is replaced by simulation, then the abundance offered by AI may lead not to fulfillment but to emptiness. To prevent this, societies must nurture values that guide the use of freedom, fostering cultures where presence, care, and creativity are celebrated alongside innovation. For in the end, the true test of AI's impact may not be in the efficiency of machines, but in the richness of human life, measured not by what we produce, but by how we live together. The arrival of AI also calls us to reconsider the relationship between humans and creativity. For while machines can generate images, compose music, and even write stories, the question lingers: is this true creativity or merely imitation? A machine can analyze patterns and recombine them into something new. But does it understand beauty, emotion, or meaning in the way humans do? For centuries, creativity has been one of the defining features of our species. The spark that built civilizations, expressed our deepest emotions, and connected us across cultures and time. The possibility that machines may one day rival this spark invites awe and unease in equal measure, for it forces us to ask, if creativity can be replicated, then what remains uniquely ours? And yet, perhaps the answer is not to resist but to embrace, to see AI not as a rival, but as a collaborator, expanding the boundaries of imagination in ways we could not achieve alone. Already, artists, writers, and musicians experiment with AI as a partner, feeding it ideas and seeing what emerges, blending human vision with machine precision. Some describe this as a kind of dialogue, a new instrument in the symphony of expression, where the machine does not replace but enhances. Through AI, humans may access infinite variations, endless possibilities, and new styles, allowing creativity to evolve beyond the limits of a single mind. But this collaboration also raises questions about ownership, authenticity, and value. If a painting is half the work of a human and half the work of a machine, whose vision does it represent? If a song is composed by an algorithm, does it carry the same emotional weight as one born of human struggle and joy? These questions remind us that creativity is not only about output, but about intention, about the story behind the work as much as the work itself. In this sense, AI may not diminish creativity, but reveal its essence. For when we encounter a piece of art, what moves us is not only the notes or colors, but the human journey they express, the echo of a life, a story, a soul. Machines cannot suffer, dream, or long for meaning in the way humans do. Their creations, however dazzling, may lack the resonance of lived experience. But when guided by human vision, they may become tools that amplify expression, giving form to ideas too vast or intricate for one mind alone. In this way, AI may remind us that creativity is not a product but a process, not a possession but a conversation, and that even as machines generate, the heart of art remains profoundly human. The economic shifts brought by AI will also reshape how societies define wealth and success. For centuries, prosperity has been tied to labor. One works, one earns, one spends. But if machines begin to perform vast portions of labor, wealth may no longer flow in the same patterns. Some envision systems of universal basic income, where all share in the abundance created by machines, ensuring stability even as traditional jobs vanish. Others fear a concentration of wealth, with a few corporations owning the most powerful AI systems and reaping the benefits, while many are left behind. This divergence of futures reflects not technological inevitability, but human choice, shaped by policies, values, and the distribution of power. The question of whether AI will liberate or oppress is inseparable from the question of who controls it and who benefits from its fruits. Thought throughout history. Each technological leap has triggered debates about distribution. When machines replaced artisans in the Industrial Revolution, some saw opportunity, others despair. When computers transformed offices, some careers flourished while others disappeared. Now, as AI extends into nearly every field, the stakes are greater than ever. For the scale of change is broader and the pace is faster. If left unchecked, the rewards of AI may flow upward, accumulating in the hands of those who own the algorithms and infrastructure, creating inequality not seen since the earliest empires. Yet with foresight, the same technology could spread wealth widely, ensuring that the abundance of the future becomes a shared inheritance rather than a private fortune. This choice belongs not to machines, but to the societies that design and regulate them. The question of success itself may shift as well. If work no longer defines worth, then wealth may be measured not in wages, but in freedom, not in accumulation, but in access to meaning and growth. A society where AI provides for basic needs may allow people to redefine prosperity in terms of health, relationships, creativity, and fulfillment. This requires a cultural transformation as profound as the technological one, for it means moving beyond centuries of habit where identity and income are bound together. The story of AI is therefore also the story of how we measure value, and whether we can imagine a world where success is not about owning more, but about living more deeply. The ethical dimension of AI grows more complex as machines become not only tools, but decision makers. Already, algorithms decide who gets a loan, who is hired, even who is flagged by law enforcement systems. As AI grows in influence, the risk arises that bias embedded within data or design may quietly shape lives in ways unseen but profound. A machine trained on unjust histories may reproduce those injustices, amplifying inequality under the guise of objectivity. This raises a pressing question. Can we trust machines to be fair? And if not, who will hold them accountable? The challenge is not only technical, but moral, requiring transparency, oversight, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about the values embedded in technology. At its core, AI is not neutral, for every system reflects the intentions of its creators and the data from which it learns. If societies feed machines with biased information, they will return biased results. If corporations design algorithms for profit, they may sacrifice fairness in the pursuit of efficiency. The danger is not that machines will act with malice, but that they will act with indifference, carrying forward patterns of harm without awareness or conscience. To prevent this, humanity must build structures of accountability, ensuring that AI serves justice rather than undermining it. This may involve new laws, new ethical standards, and new ways of involving diverse voices in the design of systems that shape so many lives. Yet even with safeguards, the question remains whether machines should ever be entrusted with decisions that shape destiny. Should an AI decide who receives life-saving treatment, or who is granted asylum, or who is deemed guilty of a crime? These choices carry weight not only in logic, but in compassion, in context, in the nuances of human experience that machines may never fully grasp. Perhaps the true role of AI is not to replace judgment, offering insight while leaving the final decision to human beings who can temper reason with empathy. For in the end, the measure of a just society lies not in the efficiency of its machines, but in the humanity of its choices. AI also forces us to reflect on the meaning of intelligence itself. For by creating machines that think, we are challenged to ask, what does it mean to think? For centuries, intelligence was seen as uniquely human, a spark that separated us from animals and defined our place in the universe. But as machines learn, adapt, and even surprise their creators, this boundary grows less certain. If a machine can play chess better than any human, write essays, compose music, and even carry conversations, is it intelligent or merely simulating intelligence? The line between imitation and awareness blurs, forcing us to reconsider whether intelligence is about capacity or consciousness, about performance or perception. Some argue that machines, no matter how advanced, lack true understanding, for they do not experience the world. They process symbols but do not feel meaning, analyze words but do not taste the sorrow or joy behind them. A poem written by AI may look convincing, but does the machine know what it is to grieve, to love, to dream? If not, then its intelligence may be a mirror of ours, reflecting patterns without inhabiting them. Others, however, suggest that consciousness itself may emerge from complexity, that if machines reach a certain threshold, awareness might arise in ways we cannot yet predict. This possibility excites and unsettles, for it means that intelligence may not belong to us alone, regardless of where one stands. The creation of thinking machines reshapes ourselves. For if intelligence is not uniquely human, then what is? Perhaps it is not intelligence, but empathy, not logic, but compassion that defines us. Or perhaps humanity is unique, not in any single trait, but in the blending of traits, the ability to reason, feel, imagine, and connect, all woven together in a tapestry machines may only imitate in parts. By building AI, we are not only shaping the future, but also holding a mirror to ourselves, asking what it means to be alive, to be aware, to be human in a universe where intelligence may no longer be ours alone. The question of whether AI will replace all jobs also depends on how humans choose to define work in the first place. For much of history, work has meant physical effort, farming, building, crafting, laboring with hands. Later, it came to mean intellectual effort, managing, analyzing, designing, deciding. Now, as machines begin to handle both physical and intellectual tasks, we are invited to ask, what is the essence of work? Is it survival, or is it contribution? Is it identity, or is it exchange? Perhaps the future will reveal that work is not only about tasks, but about connection, the act of giving something of oneself to others, whether through skill, creativity, or care. If machines can provide for survival, then perhaps human work will shift toward what cannot be automated: presence, meaning, and the sharing of life itself. This shift may also redefine careers as journeys rather than static paths. In the past, one could train for a single profession and remain in it for decades. But the world of AI may require constant adaptation as roles appear and vanish at unprecedented speed. A person may be an engineer one year, a storyteller the next, a caretaker the year after, flowing between opportunities as society evolves. This fluidity may feel unsettling to those raised on stability, yet it may also open space for exploration, for lives less confined by rigid categories. In this sense, AI may not end work, but transform it into a river rather than a fortress, asking us to become navigators rather than guardians of a single role. Still, the transition may not be easy, for change often arrives before systems are ready to support it. Workers displaced by automation may find themselves without resources to retrain, without guidance to navigate new paths. Entire communities may feel abandoned as industries vanish, leading to fear, resentment, or unrest. The challenge for societies will be to create safety nets, not only of income, but of direction, helping people move not only from job to job, but from identity to identity. For in the end, the story of AI and work is also a story of belonging, of ensuring that no one feels left behind in the march of progress. Without care, the future may fracture, but with vision, it may unfold as a tapestry where each person finds their place anew. The psychological impact of AI cannot be overlooked, for humans are not only practical beings, but emotional ones. For many, work provides not just money, but purpose, routine, and identity. To lose a job to a machine may feel like losing a piece of oneself, a wound not easily healed by financial support alone. This sense of displacement may manifest as anxiety, depression, or anger, especially if people feel their skills, once valued, are now irrelevant. Such emotions are not weakness, but natural responses to profound change, reminding us that the future of work is not only about economics, but about the human heart at the same time. The psychological challenges of AI may also open doors to growth. Freed from repetitive tasks, some may discover passions they never had time to pursue. Others may find new meaning in relationships, in learning, or in service. In this sense, AI could act as a mirror, reflecting back the question, if work no longer defines you, then who are you? This question, though unsettling, carries the seed of transformation, for it invites people to root identity in deeper soil than occupation. It invites us to rediscover the many facets of being human, facets often hidden beneath the weight of obligation. Yet this transformation will require support, for not all will navigate it alone. Societies may need to create spaces for counseling, mentorship, and community connection, recognizing that adaptation is not only about training skills, but about nurturing resilience. In past revolutions, mental well-being was often overlooked, treated as secondary to economic outcomes. But in the age of AI, where change may be faster and deeper than ever before, the emotional dimension must be honored as central. For in the end, it is not only about whether humans have work, but whether they have hope, whether they feel valued, whether they can see themselves as part of a future that still needs them. The global dimension of AI adds yet another layer, for this is not a revolution confined to one nation, but a transformation spanning continents. Some countries invest heavily in AI, building research hubs, training millions, and positioning themselves as leaders of the new era. Others lag behind, constrained by limited resources or unstable systems, watching from the sidelines as the future is shaped without their input. This uneven development risks creating a world where technological power becomes concentrated, with a few nations dominating not only economies but narratives, setting rules that others must follow. In such a world, AI may not replace jobs equally, but may deepen divides between nations, reshaping global hierarchies in ways both visible and hidden. Yet globalization also offers opportunities for cooperation, for AI is not bound by borders. Knowledge spreads faster than ever. Open source tools allow shared participation, and digital platforms connect minds across oceans. If nations choose collaboration over competition, the benefits of AI could flow more widely, reducing gaps rather than widening them. Shared research, joint policies, and ethical agreements may create a foundation for global progress that honors all. This requires humility, vision, and trust, qualities often in short supply but essential for a balanced future. For AI, like any force, can be shaped either as a weapon of dominance or as a bridge of unity, depending on the choices humanity makes. Even within global cooperation, cultural diversity plays a vital role. Different societies carry different values, and these values influence how AI is built and used. In one culture, efficiency may be prized; in another, harmony; in another, fairness or tradition. Machines reflect the priorities of their makers, and so the story of AI may unfold differently across regions, not as a single narrative, but as a mosaic of many. To recognize and honor this diversity is to ensure that AI serves not only a universal future, but also local identities, preserving the richness of humanity even in the age of machines. The role of ethics in shaping AI cannot be overstated, for at every stage of development, questions arise about what is right, what is fair, what is humane. Should AI be allowed to monitor workers to increase productivity? Should it be used to predict crime before it happens? Should it be built for warfare, capable of making life and death decisions on the battlefield? These questions stretch beyond technology into the deepest realms of morality, for they touch on the sanctity of freedom, privacy, and life itself. To ignore them is to risk creating tools that undermine the very values we cherish, tools that may serve efficiency but erode humanity. The challenge is that ethics often lags behind innovation. Machines evolve faster than laws, and policies are written only after harm has already occurred. This delay creates a vacuum in which technology advances unchecked, shaped more by market forces than by moral reflection. To bridge this gap, societies must learn to anticipate, to ask hard questions before the harm is done, to build ethical considerations into the design itself rather than as an afterthought. This requires dialogue between technologists, philosophers, policymakers, and communities. A conversation that is not easy but essential. Ethics in AI is not only about preventing harm, but about imagining good. What if AI could be designed not only to avoid injustice, but to actively promote fairness, compassion, and sustainability? What if its very architecture reflected values that uplift rather than diminish? Such possibilities remind us that ethics is not merely a constraint, but a compass, guiding us toward futures we may not yet see but can dream into being. By embedding care into the heart of technology, humanity may ensure that AI does not replace us, but reveals the best of us, magnifying not only our intelligence, but our wisdom as AI continues to grow. Humanity must also reflect on its relationship with time. For much of history, time was dictated by the rhythms of nature: sunrise, sunset, the cycle of seasons. Then industry redefined it into shifts, schedules, and clocks, binding human life to the pace of machines. Now, as intelligent systems begin to work without pause, a new rhythm emerges, one where production never sleeps and data flows in endless streams. In this world, will humans adapt by slowing down, savoring the freedom AI provides, or will they attempt to match the tireless tempo of machines, chasing efficiency until exhaustion? The choice may determine not only how society functions, but how we experience life itself. The acceleration of time can create pressure, as people feel left behind in the constant churn of progress. New technologies arrive so quickly that yesterday's knowledge feels obsolete today. Workers, students, even entire industries may feel as though they are running to stand still, struggling to keep pace with machines that never rest. This pressure may lead to burnout, anxiety, or resistance, a sense that the world is moving faster than the human heart can endure. And yet, within this tension lies an invitation to redefine time, not by speed, but by depth, not by output, but by experience. AI may take over the rush, leaving humans to rediscover the richness of slowness, of presence, of simply being. Such a shift requires courage, for it means letting go of centuries of conditioning where productivity equals worth. It means daring to measure life not by hours worked or tasks completed, but by connections nurtured, joys savored, and meanings discovered. In this sense, AI may not only change work, but also time itself, opening a path toward a new relationship with existence. The machines may run endlessly, but humans may finally learn to pause, to breathe, to live in moments rather than minutes. Perhaps this will be AI's quietest gift, the chance to remember that we are not machines, and we were never meant to be. The rise of AI also prompts reflection on power. For every new technology redistributes influence in ways both obvious and hidden. In the age of steam, factories became the engines of power. In the age of oil, nations with energy reserves shaped geopolitics. Now, in the age of AI, power may rest not in land or resources, but in data, the vast streams of information that train machines and shape decisions. Those who control this data may find themselves holding influence greater than kings or emperors of old, able to guide economies, politics, even personal behavior with subtle yet profound precision. This concentration of power raises urgent questions about accountability. If AI is guided by corporations larger than many nations, who ensures their decisions serve humanity rather than profit alone? If algorithms influence elections, markets, or public opinion, who guards against manipulation or abuse? The invisible hand of AI may be more potent than any visible authority, shaping lives quietly but pervasively. To balance this, societies must invent new forms of governance, structures not tied to territory but to networks, capable of overseeing systems that transcend borders. This challenge is unprecedented, But it is essential if AI is to serve all rather than a few at the same time. Individuals must recognize their own role in this power dynamic. Every search, every post, every click becomes part of the data that fuels AI in this sense. We are not only users of technology, but contributors to it, participants in shaping the intelligence that shapes us. To engage with this reality is to awaken to agency, to see that while power may concentrate, it also flows through billions of daily choices. By acting with awareness, by valuing privacy, transparency, and accountability, individuals and communities may help balance the scales, ensuring that the future of AI is not only written by the powerful, but also by the collective of humanity. The spiritual questions raised by AI may be the most profound of all. For centuries, humans have sought meaning through faith, philosophy, and wonder, asking what it means to exist, to be conscious, to belong to a greater whole. As machines begin to mimic intelligence, we are faced with the unsettling possibility that consciousness may not be unique to us, or the equally unsettling possibility that it is. If machines can think but not feel, then what truly distinguishes awareness? If machines can process but not dream, then what makes dreaming sacred? These questions stretch beyond science into the realm of mystery, where answers are not found in data but in reflection. Some may see AI as a mirror of creation, a reflection of humanity's own longing to create life in its image. Others may see it as a reminder of humility, proof that intelligence is not the pinnacle of existence, that there may be dimensions of being machines will never touch. In this sense, AI becomes not an end, but a doorway, leading us back to timeless questions about purpose, soul, and destiny. Whether one sees it through faith or reason, the rise of AI invites awe, for it reminds us that intelligence, whether human, machine, or something beyond, is part of a vast, unfolding mystery. Perhaps the ultimate gift of AI will not be in the tasks it performs or the jobs it replaces, but in the way it challenges us to ask deeper questions about ourselves. Who are we when stripped of roles and labels? What matters when survival is no longer at stake? What dreams endure when machines can do everything else? These questions may not have final answers, but they remind us that meaning is not something machines can give or take. It is something humans must create, moment by moment, choice by choice, heart by heart. The environmental impact of AI also deserves reflection. For while digital systems seem weightless, they are built on material foundations. Servers, energy, rare minerals mined from the earth. Every algorithm consumes electricity. Every data center hums with heat. Every device requires resources that must be extracted, processed, and transported. As AI expands, so too does its ecological footprint, raising questions about sustainability in a world already strained by climate change. Will AI accelerate the crisis, or will it become a tool for healing, helping humanity manage resources wisely and reduce harm? Used with foresight, AI could help combat climate change, optimizing energy use, predicting weather patterns, guiding sustainable agriculture, and designing cleaner technologies. It could analyze ecosystems at scales impossible for humans, offering insights that preserve biodiversity and balance. In this sense, AI may become a partner in restoration, helping us care for the planet more effectively than ever before. But if unchecked, it may also accelerate extraction, deepen consumption, and drive demand for energy beyond what the Earth can sustain. The question is not whether AI can help, but whether humanity will choose to use it for healing rather than harm. This duality mirrors the larger story of AI itself, for at every turn it offers both promise and peril. The same systems that can create abundance can also deepen inequality. The same machines that can expand creativity can also hollow it out. The same intelligence that can save the planet can also harm it. In this sense, AI is not destiny but possibility, a force shaped by human values, choices, and visions. The future it creates is not written in its code, but in our hearts, in the paths we choose to walk together. And so, as we come to the end of this reflection, the question remains, will AI replace all jobs in the future? The answer, like so many profound questions, may not be simple. Yes, machines will take over countless tasks, some visible, others hidden. Yes, roles once central to identity may vanish, leaving uncertainty in their wake. But no AI cannot replace the essence of humanity, the spark of creativity, the warmth of empathy, the depth of meaning. It may shift what we do, but it cannot erase who we are. Perhaps the true story of AI is not one of replacement, but of redefinition. It asks us to reconsider what work means, what purpose means, what life itself means when survival is no longer the measure of worth. It invites us to imagine a world where freedom is not feared but embraced, where machines handle the burdens and humans explore the possibilities of existence. Such a world may not come easily, for it requires courage, vision, and care, but it is within reach, shaped not by machines, but by the hearts and choices of those who guide them. As you rest tonight, let this reflection linger like a gentle echo. The future is vast, uncertain, and filled with possibility. Whether AI becomes a force of division or of unity, of despair or of hope, depends not on the machines, but on us. And in that truth lies comfort, for it reminds us that even in the age of artificial intelligence, the story of humanity is still ours to write. Sleep well, knowing that the future remains open, not as a threat, but as a canvas, waiting for the brushstrokes of imagination, compassion, and wisdom. Compassion and wisdom. And so now, smartest people in the world, billions of dollars, all going to create the best possible superintelligence we can. Unfortunately, while we know how to make those systems much more capable, we don't know how to make them safe, how to make sure they don't do something we will regret, and that's the state of the art right now. When we look at just prediction markets, how soon will we get to advanced AI? The timelines are very short couple. Years, 2-3 years, according to prediction markets. According to CEOs of top labs, and at the same time, we don't know how to make sure that those systems are aligned with our preferences. So we are creating this alien intelligence. If aliens were coming to Earth and you have 3 years to prepare, you would be panicking right now. But most people don't even realize this is happening. So some of the counter arguments might be, well, these are very, very smart people. These are very big companies with lots of money. They have an obligation and a moral obligation, but also just a legal obligation to make sure they do no harm. So I'm sure it'll be fine. The only obligation they have is to make money for the investors. That's the legal obligation they have. They have no moral or ethical obligations. Also, according to them, they don't know how to do it yet. The state-of-the-art answers are, we'll figure it out when we get there. Or AI will help us control more advanced AI. That's insane. In terms of probability, what do you think is the probability that something goes catastrophically wrong? So, nobody can tell you for sure what's going to happen. But if you're not in charge, you're not controlling it, you will not get outcomes you want. The space of possibilities is almost infinite. The space of outcomes we will like is tiny. And who are you? And how long have you been working on this? I'm a computer scientist by training. I have a PhD in computer science and engineering. I probably started work in AI safety, mildly defined as control of bots at the time, 15 years ago. 15 years ago. So you've been working on AI safety before it was cool. Before the term existed, I coined the term AI safety. So you're the founder of the term AI safety. The term, yes, not the field. There are other people who did brilliant work before I got there. Why were you thinking about this 15 years ago? Because most people have only been talking about the term AI safety for the last 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it started very mildly, just as a security project. I was looking at poker bots, and I realized that the bots are getting better and better. And if you just project this forward enough, they're going to get better than us, smarter, more capable, and it happened. They are playing poker way better than average players. But more generally, it will happen with all other domains, all the other cyber resources. I wanted to make sure AI is a technology which is beneficial for everyone. So I started to work on making AI safer. Was there a particular moment in your career where you thought, oh my God? First 5 years, at least, I was working on solving this problem. I was convinced we can make this happen. We can make safe AI, and that was the goal. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized every single component of that equation is not something we can actually do. And the more you zoom in, it's like a fractal. You go in and you find 10 more problems, and then 100 more problems. And all of them are not just difficult. They're impossible to solve. There is no final work in this field where, like, we solved this. We don't have to worry about this. There are patches. There are little fixes we put in place, and quickly people find ways to work around them. They drill break whatever safety mechanisms we have. So while progress in AI capabilities is exponential, or maybe even hyper-exponential, progress in AI safety is linear or constant. The gap is increasing. The gap between the how capable the systems are and how well we can control them, predict what they're going to do, explain their decision-making. I think this is quite an important point, because you said that we're basically patching over the issues that we find. So, we're developing this core intelligence, and then to stop it doing things, or to stop it showing some of its unpredictability or its threats. The companies that are developing this AI are programming in code over the top to say, okay, don't swear, don't say that read word, don't do that bad thing, exactly. And you can look at other examples of that. So, HR manuals, right? We have those humans. They're general intelligences, but you want them to behave in a company. So they have a policy, no sexual harassment, no this, no that. But if you're smart enough, you always find a workaround. So you're just pushing behavior into a different, not yet restricted, subdomain. We should probably define some terms here. So there's narrow intelligence, which can play chess or whatever. There's the artificial general intelligence, which can operate across domains. And then superintelligence, which is smarter than all humans in all domains. And where are we? So that's a very fuzzy boundary, right? We definitely have many excellent narrow systems, no question about it. And they are super intelligent in that narrow domain. So protein folding is a problem which was solved using narrow AI, and it's superior to all humans in that domain. In terms of a GI, again I said if we showed what we have today to a scientist from 20 years ago, they would be convinced we have full-blown Aggie. We have systems which can learn. They can perform in hundreds of domains, and they better than human in many of them. So you can argue we have a weak version of high. Now we don't have superintelligence yet. We still have brilliant humans who are completely dominating AI, especially in science and engineering. But that gap is closing so fast. You can see, especially in the domain of mathematics, 3 years ago large language models couldn't do basic algebra. Multiplying 3-digit numbers was a challenge. Now they helping with mathematical proofs, they winning mathematics, Olympiads, competitions they are working on solving. Millennial problems, hardest problems in mathematics. So in 3 years we closed the gap from subhuman performance to better than most. Mathematicians in the end we see the same process happening in science and in engineering. You have made a series of predictions, and they correspond to a variety of different dates. I have those dates in front of me here. What is your prediction for the year 2027? We're probably looking at Aggie as predicted by prediction markets and tops of the labs. So we have artificial general intelligence by 2027. And how would that make the world different to how it is now? So if you have this concept of a drop in employee, you have free labor, physical and cognitive, trillions of dollars of it. It makes no sense to hire humans for most jobs. If I can just get, a $20 subscription or a free model to do what an employee does. First, anything on a computer will be automated. And next, I think humanoid robots are maybe 5 years behind. So, in 5 years, all the physical labor can also be automated. So we're looking at a world where we have levels of unemployment we never seen before. Not talking about 10% unemployment, which is scary, but 99%. All you have left is jobs, where for whatever reason, you prefer another human would do it for you. But anything else can be fully automated. It doesn't mean it will be automated in practice. A lot of times technology exists, but it's not deployed. Video phones were invented in the 70s. Nobody had them until iPhones came around. So we may have a lot more time with jobs and with world which looks like this. But capability to replace most humans and most occupations will come very quickly. Okay. So let's try and drill down into that and stress test it. So, a podcaster like me, would you need a podcaster like me? So, let's look at what you do. You prepare. You ask questions. You ask follow-up questions. And you look good on camera. Thank you so much. Let's see what we can do. Large language model today can easily read everything I wrote. Yeah, and have very solid understanding better. I assume you haven't read every single one of my books, right? That thing would do it. It can train on every podcast you ever did. So, it knows exactly your style. the types of questions you ask. It can also find correspondence between what worked really well, like this type of question really increased views. This type of topic was very promising. So, you can optimize, I think, better than you can because you don't have a dataset. Of course, visual simulation is trivial at this point, so you can make a video within seconds of me sat here, and so we can generate videos of you interviewing anyone on any topic very efficiently, and you just have to get likeness, approval, whatever are there. Many jobs that you think would remain in a world of AGI, if you're saying AGI is potentially going to be here, whether it's deployed or not. 2027, what kind? And then, okay, so let's take out of this any physical labor jobs for a second. Are there any jobs that you think a human would be able to do better in a world of AGI still? So that's the question I often ask people in a world with AGI, and I think almost immediately we'll get super intelligence as a side effect. So the question really is, in a world of superintelligence, which is defined as better than all humans in all domains, what can you contribute? And so you know better than anyone what it's like to be you. You know what ice cream tastes to you? Can you get paid for that knowledge? Is someone interested in that? Maybe not. Not a big market. There are jobs where you want a human. There are jobs where you want a human. Maybe you're rich and you want a human accountant for whatever historic reasons. Old people like traditional ways of doing things. Warren Buffett would not switch to AI. He would use his human accountant, but it's a tiny subset of a market. Today we have products which are man-made in us as opposed to mass-produced in China. And some people pay more to have those, but it's a small subset. It's almost a fetish. There is no practical reason for it, and I think anything you can do on a computer could be automated using that technology. You must hear a lot of rebuttals to when you say it, because people experience a huge amount of mental discomfort when they hear that their job, their career, the thing they got a degree in, the thing they invested $100,000 into, is going to be taken away from them. So, their natural reaction, for some people, is that cognitive dissonance, that no, you're wrong. AI can't be creative. It's not this. It's not that. It'll never be interested in my job. I'll be fine, because you hear these arguments all the time. Right? It's really funny. I ask people in different occupations. I ask my Uber driver, are you worried about self-driving cars? And they go, no, no one can do what I do. I know the streets of New York. I can navigate like no AI. I'm safe. And it's true for any job. Professors are saying this to me. Oh, nobody can lecture like I do. Like this is so special. But you understand, it's ridiculous. We already have self-driving cars replacing drivers. That is not even a question if it's possible. It's like how soon before you fired? Yeah. I mean, I've just been in LA yesterday and my car drives itself. So, I get in the car, I set put in where I want to go, and then I don't touch the steering wheel or the brake pedals, and it takes me from A to B, even if it's an hour-long drive without any intervention at all. I actually still park it, but other than that, I'm not driving the car at all. And obviously, in LA, we also have Waymo now, which means you order it on your phone, and it shows up with no driver in it, and takes you to where you want to go. Oh yeah, so it's quite clear to see how that is potentially a matter of time for those people. Because we do have some of those people listening to this conversation right now that their occupation is driving to offer them and I think driving is the biggest occupation in the world, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure it is the biggest occupation in the world. One of the top ones. Yeah. What would you say to those people? What should they be doing with their lives? What should they be retraining in something, or what time frame? So that's the paradigm shift here. Before we always said this job is going to be automated, retrained to do this other job. But if I'm telling you that all jobs will be automated, then there is no plan B. You cannot retrain. Look at computer science. 2 years ago, we told people learn to code. You are an artist. You cannot make money. Learn to code. Then we realized, oh, AI kind of knows how to code and getting better. Become a prompt engineer. You can engineer prompts for AI. It's going to be a great job. Get a 4-year degree in it. But then we're like, AI is way better at designing prompts for other AIs than any human. So that's gone. So I can't really tell you right now. The hardest thing is design AI agents for practical applications. I guarantee you, in a year or two, it's going to be gone just as well. So I don't think there is this occupation needs to learn to do this instead. I think it's more like we, as a humanity, then we all lose our jobs. What do we do? What do we do financially? Who's paying for us? And what do we do in terms of meaning? What do I do with my extra 60, 80 hours a week? You've thought around this corner, haven't you? A little bit. What is around that corner in your view? So the economic part seems easy. If you create a lot of free labor, you have a lot of free wealth, abundance. Things which are right now not very affordable become dirt cheap, and so you can provide for everyone basic needs. Some people say you can provide beyond basic needs. You can provide very good existence for everyone. The hard problem is, what do you do with all that free time? For a lot of people, their jobs are what gives them meaning in their life. So they would be kind of lost. We see it with people who retire or do early retirement. And for so many people who hate their jobs, they'll be very happy not working. But now you have people who are chilling all day. What happens to society? How does that impact crime rate, pregnancy rate, all sorts of issues? Nobody thinks about. Governments don't have programs prepared to deal with 99% unemployment. What do you think that world looks like? Again, I think you very important part to understand here is the unpredictability of it. We cannot predict what a smarter than us system will do. And the point when we get to that is often called singularity by analogy with physical singularity. You cannot see beyond the event horizon. I can tell you what I think might happen, but that's my prediction. It is not what actually is going to happen, because I just don't have cognitive ability to predict a much smarter agent impacting this world. Then you read science fiction. There is never a super intelligence in it actually doing anything, because nobody can write believable science fiction at that level. They either banned AI like Dune, because this way you can avoid writing about it, or it's like Star Wars. You have this really dumb bots. Nothing super intelligent ever cause by definition. You cannot predict at that level because by definition of it being super intelligent, it will make its own mind up. By definition, if it was something you could predict, you would be operating at the same level of intelligence, violating our assumption that it is smarter than you. If I'm playing chess with super intelligence and I can predict every move, I'm playing at that level. It's kind of like my French bulldog trying to predict exactly what I'm thinking and what I'm going to do. That's a good cognitive gap. And it's not just he can predict you're going to work, you're coming back, but he cannot understand why you're doing a podcast. That is something completely outside of his model of the world. Yeah, he doesn't even know that I go to work. He just sees that I leave the house and doesn't know where I go. Buy food for him. What's the most persuasive argument against your own perspective here? That we will not have unemployment due to advanced technology, that there won't be this French bulldog, human gap in understanding, and I guess like power and control. So some people think that we can enhance human minds either through combination with hardware, so something like Neuralink, or through genetic re-engineering, to where we make smarter humans. Yeah, it may give us a little more intelligence. I don't think we are still competitive in biological form with silicon form. Silicon substrate is much more capable for intelligence. It's faster, it's more resilient, more energy efficient in many ways, which is what computers are made out of versus the brain. Yeah, so I don't think we can keep up just with improving our biology. Some people think maybe, and this is very speculative, we can upload our minds into computers. So scan your brain, connect of your brain, and have a simulation running on a computer, and you can speed it up, give it more capabilities. But to me, that feels like you no longer exist. We just created software by different means, and now you have AI based on biology and AI based on some other forms of training. You can have evolutionary algorithms. You can have many paths to reach Aggie, but at the end, none of them are humans. I have another date here, which is 2030. What's your prediction for 2030? What will the world look like? So we probably will have a humanoid robots with enough flexibility, dexterity to compete with humans in all domains, including plumbers. We can make artificial plumbers, not the plumbers where that felt like the last bastion of a human employment. So 20, 30, 5 years from now, humanoid robots. So many of the companies, the leading companies, including Tesla, are developing humanoid robots at light speed, and they're getting increasingly more effective. And these humanoid robots will be able to move through physical space for, make an omelet, do anything humans can do, but obviously be connected to AI as well, so they can think, talk, right? They're controlled by AI. They always connected to the network, so they are already dominating in many ways. Our world will look remarkably different when humanoid robots are functional and effective, because that's really when I think like the combination of intelligence and physical ability is really doesn't leave much, does it? For us, human beings, not much. So today, if you have intelligence, through internet, you can hire humans to do your bidding for you. You can pay them in Bitcoin. So you can have bodies, just not directly controlling them. So it's not a huge game changer to add direct control of physical bodies. Intelligence is where it's at. The important component is definitely higher ability to optimize, to solve problems, to find patterns people cannot see. And then by 2045, I guess the world looks even more which is 20 years from now. So if it's still around, Ray Kurzweil predicts that that's the year for the singularity. That's the year where progress becomes so fast. So this AI doing science and engineering work makes improvements so quickly we cannot keep up anymore. That's the definition of singularity. Point beyond which we cannot see, understand, predict, see, understand, predict the intelligence itself or what is happening in the world. The technology is being developed in the world. The technology is being developed. So right now, if I have an iPhone, I can look forward to a new one coming out next year, and I'll understand it has slightly better camera. Imagine now, this process of researching and developing this phone is automated. It happens every 6 months, every 3 months, every month, week, day, hour, minute, second. You cannot keep up with 30 iterations of iPhone in one day. You don't understand what capabilities it has, what proper controls are. It just escapes you. Right now, it's hard for any researcher and AI to keep up with the state of the art. While I was doing this interview with you, a new model came out, and I no longer know what the state of the art is. Every day, as a percentage of total knowledge, I get dumber. I may still know more because I keep reading, but as a percentage of overall knowledge, we're all getting dumber. And then you take it to extreme values. You have zero knowledge, zero understanding of the world around you. Some of the arguments against this eventuality are that when you look at other technologies like the Industrial Revolution, people just found new ways to work and new careers that we could never have imagined at the time were created. How do you respond to that in a world of superintelligence? It's a paradigm shift. We always had tools, new tools, which allowed some job to be done more efficiently. So instead of having 10 workers, you could have 2 workers, and 8 workers had to find a new job. And there was another job. Now you can supervise those workers, or do something cool. If you're creating a meta-invention, you're inventing intelligence. You're inventing a worker, an agent. Then you can apply that agent to the new job. There is not a job which cannot be automated. That never happened before. All the inventions we previously had were kind of a tool for doing something. So we invented fire. Huge game changer. But that's it. It stops with fire. We invent the wheel. Same idea. Huge implications. But wheel itself is not an inventor. Here we're inventing a replacement for human mind. A new inventor capable of doing new inventions. It's the last invention we ever have to make. At that point, it takes over, and the process of doing science, research, even ethics research, morals, all that is automated at that point. Do you sleep well at night? Really well. Even though you spent the last, 15, 20 years of your life working on AI safety, and it's suddenly among us in a way that I don't think anyone could have predicted. 5 years ago, when I say among us, I really mean that the amount of funding and talent that is now focused on reaching superintelligence faster has made it feel more inevitable, and more soon than any of us could have possibly imagined. We as humans have this built-in bias about not thinking about really bad outcomes and things we cannot prevent. So all of us are dying. Your kids are dying. Your parents are dying. Everyone's dying, but you still sleep well. You still go on with your day. Even 95-year-olds are still doing games and playing golf and whatnot, 'cause we have this ability to not think about the worst outcomes, especially if we cannot actually modify the outcome. So that's the same infrastructure being used for this. Yeah, There is humanity-level death-like event. We're happening to be close to it, probably. But unless I can do something about it, I can just keep enjoying my life. In fact, maybe knowing that you have limited amount of time left gives you more reason to have a better life. You cannot waste any, and that's the survival trait of evolution, I guess. Because those of my ancestors that spent all their time worrying wouldn't have spent enough time having babies and hunting to survive. Suicidal ideation. People who really start thinking about how horrible the world is usually escape pretty soon. One of the co-authored this paper, analyzing the key arguments people make against the importance of AI safety. And one of the arguments in there is that there's other things that are of bigger importance right now. It might be world wars. It could be nuclear containment. It could be other things. There's other things that the governments and podcasters like me should be talking about that are more important. What's your rebuttal to that argument? So, superintelligence is a meta solution. If we get superintelligence right, it will help us with climate change. It will help us with wars. It can solve all the other existential risks. If we don't get it right, it dominates. If climate change will take 100 years to boil us alive, and superintelligence kills everyone in 5, I don't have to worry about climate change. So either way, either it solves it for me or it's not an issue. So you think it's the most important thing to be working on. Without question, there is nothing more important than getting this right. And I know everyone says it. You take any class with you take English professors. Class, and he tells you this is the most important class you'll ever take, but you can see the meta-level differences with this one another argument. In that paper is that we all be in control, and that the danger is not AI. This particular argument asserts that AI is just a tool. Humans are the real actors that present danger, and we can always control by simply turning it off. Can't we just pull the plug out? I see that every time we have a conversation on the show about AI, someone says, can't we just unplug it? Yeah, I get those comments on every podcast I make, and I always want to get in touch with a guy and say, this is brilliant. I never thought of it. We're going to write a paper together and get a Nobel Prize for it. This is let's do it, because it's so silly. Can you turn off a virus? You have a computer virus. You don't like it? Turn it off. How about Bitcoin? Turn off Bitcoin network. Go ahead. I'll wait. This is silly. Those are distributed systems. You cannot turn them off. And on top of it, they're smarter than you. They made multiple backups. They predicted what you're going to do. They will turn you off before you can turn them off. The idea that we will be in control applies only to group intelligence levels. Basically, what we have today. Today, humans with AI tools are dangerous. They can be hackers, malevolent actors, absolutely. But the moment superintelligence becomes smarter, dominates, they no longer the important part of that equation. It is the higher intelligence I'm concerned about, not the human who may add additional malevolent payload, but at the end still doesn't control it. It is tempting to follow the next argument that I saw in that paper, which basically says, listen, this is inevitable. So, there's no point fighting against it, because there's really no hope here. So, we should probably give up even trying, and be faithful that it'll work itself out, because everything you've said sounds really inevitable. And if with China working on it, I'm sure Putin's got some secret division. I'm sure Iran are doing some bits and pieces. Every European country's trying to get ahead of AI. The United States is leading the way. So it's inevitable. So we probably should just have faith and pray. Well, praying is always good, but incentives matter. If you are looking at what drives this people, so yes, money is important. So there is a lot of money in that space, and so everyone's trying to be there and develop this technology. But if they truly understand the argument, they understand that you will be dead. No amount of money will be useful to you. Then incentive switch. They would want to not be dead. A lot of them are young people, rich people. They have their whole lives ahead of them. I think they would be better off not building advanced superintelligence, concentrating on narrow AI tools for solving specific problems. Okay, my company cures breast cancer. That's all. We make billions of dollars. Everyone's happy. Everyone benefits. It's a win. We are still in control today. It's not over until it's over. We can decide not to build general superintelligences. I mean, the United States might be able to conjure up enough enthusiasm for that, but if the United States doesn't build general superintelligences, then China are going to have the big advantage, right? So right now, at those levels, whoever has more advanced AI has more advanced military. No question, we see it with existing conflicts, but the moment you switch to superintelligence, uncontrolled superintelligence, it doesn't matter who builds it, us or them, and if they understand this argument, they also would not build it. It's a mutually assured destruction on both ends. Is this technology different than, say, nuclear weapons, which require a huge amount of investment, and you have to, enrich the uranium, and you need billions of dollars, potentially, to even build a nuclear weapon? But it feels like this technology is much cheaper to get to superintelligence, potentially, or at least it will become cheaper. I wonder if it's possible that some guy, some startup, is going to be able to build superintelligence in, a couple of years without the need of, billions of dollars of compute or electricity power. That's a great point. So every year it becomes cheaper and cheaper to train sufficiently large model. If today it would take $1 trillion to build superintelligence, next year it could be 100 billion. And so on. At some point, a guy in a laptop could do it. But you don't want to wait 4 years for make it affordable. Want to wait 4 years for make it affordable. So that's why so much money is pouring in. Somebody wants to get there this year, and lucky, and all the winnings, light cone level award. So in that regard, they both very expensive projects, like Manhattan level projects, which was the nuclear bomb project. The difference between the two technologies is that nuclear weapons are still tools. Some dictator, some country, someone has to decide to use them, deploy them, whereas superintelligence is not a tool, it's an agent. It makes its own decisions, and no one is controlling it. I cannot take out this dictator, and now superintelligence is safe. So that's a fundamental difference to me. But if you're saying that it is going to get incrementally cheaper, like I think it's Mo's law, isn't it? The technology gets cheaper, then there is a future, where some guy on his laptop is going to be able to create intelligence without oversight or regulation or employees, etc. Yeah, that's why a lot of people suggesting we need to build something like an surveillance planet where you are monitoring who's doing what, and you're trying to prevent people from doing it. Do I think it's feasible? No. At some point, it becomes so affordable and so trivial that it just will happen. But at this point, we're trying to get more time. We don't want it to happen in 5 years. We want it to happen in 50 years. I mean, that's not very hopeful. See, depends on how old you are. Depends on how old you are. I mean, if you're saying that you believe in the future, people will be able to make super intelligence without the resources that are required today, then it is just a matter of time. Yeah, but so will be true for many other technologies. We're getting much better in synthetic biology, where today someone with a bachelor's degree in biology can probably create a new virus. This will also become cheaper, other technologies like that. So we are approaching a point where it's very difficult to make sure no technological breakthrough is the last one. So essentially, in many directions, we have this pattern of making it easier in terms of resources, in terms of intelligence to destroy the world. If you look at 500 years ago, the worst dictator with all the resources could kill a couple million people. He couldn't destroy the world. Now we know nuclear weapons. We can blow up the whole planet multiple times over. Synthetic biology we saw with COU can very easily create a combination virus which impacts billions of people, and all of those things becoming easier to do in the near term. You talk about extinction being a real risk, human extinction being a real risk. Of all the pathways to human extinction that you think are most likely, what is the leading pathway? Because I know you talk about there being some issue pre-deployment of these AI tools, like someone makes a mistake when they're designing a model, or other issues post-deployment. When I say post-deployment, I mean once a chat, something, and agents released into the world, and someone hacking into it and changing it and reprogramming it to be malicious. Of all these potential paths to human extinction, which one do you think is the highest probability? So I can only talk about the ones I can predict myself. So I can predict, even before we get to superintelligence, someone will create a very advanced biological tool, create a novel virus, and that virus gets everyone, or most everyone. I can envision it. I can understand the pathway. I can say that. So just to zoom in on that, then, that would be using an AI to make a virus and then releasing it. Yeah, and would that be intentional? Or there is a lot of psychopaths, a lot of terrorists, a lot of doomsday cults. We've seen historically, again, they try to kill as many people as they can. They usually fail. They kill hundreds of thousands. But if they get technology to kill millions of billions, they would do that gladly. The point I'm trying to emphasize is that it doesn't matter what I can come up with. I am not a malevolent actor you're trying to defeat here. It's a superintelligence which can come up with completely novel ways of doing it. Again, you brought up example of your dog. Your dog cannot understand all the ways you can take it out. It can maybe think you'll bite it to death or something, but that's all. Whereas you have infinite supply of resources. So if I asked your dog exactly how you going to take it out, it would not give you a meaningful answer. It can talk about biting. And this is what we know. We know viruses. We experienced viruses. We can talk about them. But what an AI system capable of doing novel physics research can come up with is beyond me. One of the things that I think most people don't understand is how little we understand about how these AIs are actually working. Because one would assume, with computers, we kind of understand how a computer works. We know that it's doing this, and it's running on code. But from reading your work, you describe it as being a black box. We actually in the context of something like ChatGPT or an AI, we know you're telling me that the people that have built that tool don't actually know what's going on inside there. That's exactly right. So even people making those systems have to run experiments on their product to learn what it's capable of. So they train it by giving it all of data. Let's say all of internet text. They run it on a lot of computers to learn patterns in that text, and then they start experimenting with that model. And so, dear listener, we slowly drift back from the horizon of possibilities, returning gently to the quiet rhythm of the present. The future of artificial intelligence stretches before us like an endless ocean, vast and shimmering with unknown currents, filled with both promise and uncertainty. It is a sea humanity will one day sail across with courage, guided by choices and values. But tonight, there is no need to chart that journey. Tonight, there is no urgency, no pressure to predict or solve, no weight of what might come. Instead, we allow the questions to soften like waves upon the shore, washing over us without demand, without fear, carrying us into a place of calm. We are reminded that the future belongs to tomorrow, but the present belongs to rest. And in that stillness, we are safe. Above us, the stars have watched silently for billions of years, their light crossing time itself to reach our eyes. They remind us that life is part of a much larger story, that the rise of machines and the shifts of human purpose are but chapters in an ancient and endless book. Civilizations have risen and fallen under these stars. Ideas have been born and faded, and still the night sky remains steady and eternal. Whether AI changes the way we work, reshapes society, or redefines meaning, these transformations are only moments in a cosmic journey that stretches beyond imagination. As we listen, we feel the weight of that truth dissolve, leaving behind only the gentle comfort that we are part of something vast, something timeless, something that does not rush. In this quiet recognition, we find permission to rest. Here on Earth, Analyst, we are reminded that the essence of existence is not measured in productivity, not reduced to efficiency, not confined to tasks or titles. The machines may calculate, but they cannot dream. They may analyze, but they cannot wonder. They may replace jobs, but they cannot replace the spark of being human, the laughter, the tenderness, the meaning we weave into our lives. That gift, that essence, remains ours, untouched and irreplaceable. So, as you drift into sleep, let go of the noise of the day and the worries of the future. Let your breath be steady. Let your body be heavy. Let your thoughts settle like leaves upon still water. Rest deeply in the knowledge that the story of humanity is still yours to live, still yours to guide, still yours to dream. Sleep well, and may the night carry you gently into peace. Carry you gently into peace. And now, as our journey through the possibilities of artificial intelligence draws to a gentle close, let your mind rest in the calm certainty that the future does not need to be solved tonight. The questions of whether AI will replace jobs, reshape societies, or redefine purpose will continue to unfold far beyond this moment. and that is perfectly all right. For now, there is no pressure, no urgency, no demand to know. There is only stillness, a quiet invitation to breathe deeply and let your thoughts soften like twilight fading into the stars. As you exhale, allow the weight of tomorrow to dissolve, for tonight belongs not to machines, not to progress, but to you, your rest, your peace, your gentle return to silence. And in this silence, the universe whispers that you are safe, that you are enough, that the story continues without you needing to hold it all at once. The stars above remind us that change has always been part of life. Civilizations have risen, inventions have reshaped worlds, and humanity has adapted with grace again and again. AI is simply the next chapter, another thread woven into the endless fabric of time. Just as the oceans move in tides and the forests grow in seasons, so too does human life flow forward, finding balance, finding purpose, finding renewal. You are part of that flow, a presence in a universe vast and beautiful, a being of imagination and meaning. Machines may mimic thought, but they cannot touch the heart. They may calculate, but they cannot feel the stillness you feel now. In this recognition lies a quiet strength, a reminder that your humanity is timeless. As you listen, let the calm wash through you like gentle waves, carrying you into peace. Here, at Earth Analyst, we will continue exploring the great mysteries of life, science, and imagination together. If you found comfort in this reflection, if these words brought you ease, consider joining us on more journeys by subscribing so you never miss the stories waiting beyond the horizon. Let your curiosity travel with us, even as your body rests. Share this calm with others who seek peace, who long for wonder, who wish to dream under the stars. And as you drift into sleep, know that the story does not end here. It continues in the night, in your dreams, in the quiet spaces of your soul. Sleep deeply, rest fully, and wake renewed, ready to step gently into tomorrow. Until then, may peace surround you, may dreams carry you, and may your heart remain open to the mysteries